Hello, everyone. I'm Ella Fernandez, your host for today's BeTechly Discovery Series event. Today, we're discovering how will AI impact your marketing effectiveness. We're joined by Nico Bernie Miller. She is the CEO at Change 3 Enterprises, and Beate Lepena. She is the Director of Media and Strategy for AI Media. We chose to showcase these two experts because they came from exceptional agencies. Change 3 serves tech and B2B businesses of all sizes, also supporting tech leaders, including but not limited to IBM, AWS, Mediacom, and Cisco. While AI Media Group is powered by a talented team of experts from diverse backgrounds, including marketing, data analysis, technology, and creative. This 30-minute live session is made up of three parts. The deep dive, where our experts will cover three facets of today's topic, including market data. Then we'll have a 3-minute live poll so you guys can compare with each other. You'll also have a chance to win $100. Lastly, after the poll, the event is technically over, but if you have time, we'll have a Q&A for as long as you and the expert can stay. Remember, you can always schedule a time to speak with Nico or Beate's team after the event, and be sure to complete your 1-minute voice verification to get your reward. So let's look at the audience. Ooh, we've got a great group of audience today, as you can see from the answers to the two registration questions. Now let's get into the deep dive. We pulled together 6 stats related to the three facets of this topic, and we'll ask Nico and Beate three key questions about this data. So for our first statistic, AI is helping 40% of marketers create more engaging content. AI is helping 30% of marketers send more personalized emails. So, Nico, can you tell us what are the easiest way to get started with AI in marketing activities?
Well, if you're a large marketer, the easiest way is to work with AI Media Group because they are actually really an innovator in the space. But what Beate and I are going to do is I'm going to focus on answering these questions for smaller marketers. Maybe you've got a few thousand or a few $100s in your budget each month, or maybe even for the whole year. My answers are going to be for that. And Bianca is going to tackle it for those advertisers that have hundreds of thousands or maybe millions of dollars in their monthly budgets. And so, with that in mind, one of the easiest ways to start with using AI tools in your marketing activities is to simply start trying some of the new tech out that you're hearing. There's a bunch of cloud based tools available. There are things like, for example, in Facebook, a lot of small business owners advertise in Facebook, and you can allow Facebook to configure your ads for you. You can do the same in Google. You can do the same in a lot of ad networks. And that's actually all AI. And it's based on their analysis of people's behavior and how much time they spend looking at your ad and all that sort of stuff. And so they use the power of that machine learning to present the very best ad based on the components you give it. So, that's a really easy way to get started is to just try it. I know sometimes for us as marketers and business owners and business leaders, we're like, no, what I want is the best way. And it absolutely is the best way of how you want to communicate. But your audience, what we're discovering, I think you guys might be discovering too, is actually a whole collection of individuals. It's no longer these monolithic, segments or circles of interest or cohorts or whatever term you want to use over the years. And in today's world, individuals want you to talk to them as individuals based on their behavior, their interests, their needs, and so on. And so our recommendation is to choose, one or two AI tools that fit your needs. Whether it's Grammarly to make sure you don't make typos and mistakes like I do all the time, or is it, um, SEM rush to, see how your technical SEO looks like on your website. There's a bunch of tools that will use AI to help you improve your marketing fundamentals, especially for digital marketing. And so that's the easiest way is to just pick one and play with it. Spend some time playing around.
Great.
What do you
Thank you,
think, Bee?
Nico. Yeah.
You're welcome. Hmm.
Totally agree with you, Nico. And I think honestly, the best way is really just to try, pick a couple of those tools and see where you can go with that. And I think for larger enterprise accounts, AI can really help you not only simplify things for yourself, but, analyze the data as well if you have really large scale accounts. However, I think, really the first and the best way to get started with AI is looking at ad personalization and personalized content for you, especially if you're managing very large accounts with a lot of audience targets and audience profiles. This can really help you simplify the messaging that you're putting out there and making sure that it's resonating with exactly the right audiences that you want to hit. Also, this really takes the pressure off you as a business owner and your team. You no longer have to create, thousands and thousands of ads if you have tools that are able to help you do that easier. If you have larger budgets and want to tap into some more sophisticated systems, there's always tools like Google Performance Max, which allows you to really target specific niche audiences with a lot of great creative and creative that can be dynamically generated by Google. So really alleviating a lot of the pressure of having to create your own content. And then from there on as well, I would, utilize AI to help analyze the data to make recommendations and insights into how you're performing and what else you could be doing and how you could tweak your marketing message to really resonate.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. For our Here are two more stats as well as the question. 72% of customers say they only engage with personalized messaging, while 88% of marketers using AI say it helps them personalize the cross-channel customer journey. So, Nico, how can AI marketing tool improve personalization and or productivity?
Great question. And actually, Beate started answering this
Oh,
question
wow.
on our last one. See, we tie it together. We make the interconnections. See, we're AI right here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and her point was so, and this builds on the point that Beate was making, which is especially when you have a big audience, right? Maybe you're a pizza shop and you want more people to come to your location, in Manhattan, and it's something going on and you have a special or whatever, right? Or maybe you're somewhere where you don't get as much foot traffic as you expected and you're using digital ads to drive more foot traffic. Well, in that case, what you're looking for is optimal yield. So you might, there might be websites about pizza, right? And there's ways you can advertise in that geolocation or what have you, but there's so many different ad options, whether it's phone ads or text ads or local ads or whatever. There's a ton of ads, and so AI can really help you, like Beate said, improve your productivity. You basically want people to come into your restaurant, but some of those people might come in because they want a beverage. Some people might come in because they want to try a new type of pizza. Some like the fact that you're authentic, Italian or whatever. And using AI would help you generate all those different messages that are actually aligned with your principal objective and your principal message, but present that in the facet that, or the manner in which is going to be most likely to resonate with that potential customer to walk in the door. And, AI tools will help you do that. Like Beate talked about, there's a bunch of tools Google's got, they lead, with AI. And so, a lot of their tools will, they know everything, man. They know everything that you do and your customers and your potential customers, so they can guess, they're not guessing actually, they can really predict who's more likely to want to walk into your door. And so that's really how AI can help you improve personalization by leveraging tools that allow you to give it a lot of options and it'll configure that tool. From a productivity perspective, us at Change Theory, we're a boutique agency. So we have about 50 professionals worldwide, And we serve, as you saw, really big clients. And I mean, man, we crank our stuff out, high quality stuff. But we've actually introduced AI tools into our day-to-day marketing operations to improve productivity for the resources that we have. It's actually more effective to, instead of hiring lots of associates, for example. I know agencies would do that, consulting companies do that. You hire a lot of like kind of your associate level, and then you train them, and then they get good and they produce. But there's a whole bunch of drawbacks to that. So using AI allows you to take that senior person who's like very skilled, really knowledgeable, and then they can use the tools to crank out a bunch of content, for example, or a bunch of ad options or what have you. And then as you add staff, you can bring in folks that are more senior, or you can bring in associate level, but train them so the yields, the productivity per professional really can be, phenomenally greater. So those are two ways that AI tools can really improve personalization and productivity. What do you think? What did I get wrong, B?
Nothing. That was so spot on, and I couldn't agree more. I think, both personalization and productivity can be improved by AI, and even on larger scale accounts too. Like I mentioned before, that personalization, you could be chugging through thousands of ads or creating blog posts or email content. You want to make sure you're hitting that right audience with the right message. So this helps you really tackle that and does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I'm a huge fan of ChatGPT. I use it every single day. I always have it open. If you know what to feed these systems, you're going to get a lot of great output back, and you'll be able to leverage a lot of that. You can, ask it to write ads in a specific message or with a specific tone or sentiment, or include specific things to make it more industry relevant. It's really
Yeah.
about how you use all those tools to, get the most out of it. And I think in terms of productivity as well, it does the heavy lifting for you. It can really help your teams, if your teams are working across many, many accounts, which is sometimes the case across agencies. We're not just working on one account. So these tools help, us analyze performance, create content, and so on. So I think both are super important. And also, I think, especially if you have competitors or clients who are, really big name brands or are competitive within your industry, it's super
Mhm.
important to know what competitors are out there, who's maybe bidding on the same keywords on Google, or who may be hitting the same audiences across social. So tools like SEM Rush allow you to see who else is out there, what they're doing, and give you some ideas of, okay, how else can we, get a little bit better with our messaging? How can this help improve? So it also helps you stay on top of industry trends and make sure you're always, up to par with what everyone else is doing within the industry and the field. So I think there's a lot of great use case scenarios for AI for sure.
Yeah. You know what we should
Thank
do?
you.
We should do like a training, because I'm listening to us talking, I realize like it's such a journey. And if I were a marketer at a big company or a small company and I wasn't using a lot of these tools yet, maybe I use one, and I'm thinking about using another one. I would like want somebody to train me, like how do
Yeah.
I weave this together into a really coherent fabric of, marketing, perfection. So we should figure that out, girl. We figure out how to do a
Yes,
little AI training, AI boot
definitely.
camp.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Please count me in on that training. And
Got
for our final
it.
statistic, bot traffic made up 42.3% of all internet activity in 2021. Bot clicks and fake traffic are set to cost advertisers over 71 billion in 2024. So, Nico, how are results generally impacted when using AI tools?
I'm so glad we ended on this, because this is like the thing, right? So
Mhm.
maybe you've been using some AI tools. I recall from the graph about who's in the audience, I think 40% of, you guys are saying, hey, I'm curious, I want to learn more
Yeah.
about this. And that really lines up with the stats that we saw. But this is actually like the biggest reason why, it's important, especially this year, to like start to look into new types of advertising tools. Um, the one we talk about a lot that's AI powered is this identity graph, right? And you may or may not have heard of it. It's something they've been talking about for a few years, but now it's like really productized. Demand Base, Sixth Sense, Zoom Info's Marketing OS, they're the newest into the fray. Google and Facebook, they have their own identity graph. They know everybody and they know everything about everybody on their networks, and they have, billions of people in their networks and all your devices and everything. So they have that. But there's some third-party companies that also have an identity graph too that's very, very accurate. AI is actually one of those rare companies that have some specialized proprietary technology. That's why we love them, their identity graph for that purpose. But it's really for this. So yeah, you can improve ad effectiveness by having more personal ads and produce more content to be more productive and make sure you don't have typos and come up with creative and all that great stuff. But if you're wasting it on bots, which this number, the bot traffic percentage last year was like 30%. So it's up almost 50% in 1 year. This is a presidential election year. So just imagine how many more bots are going to be out there trying to influence conversations, and you don't want to be advertising to those bots, right? Because they're never going to buy your product. So this was a long-winded answer, and I could see V shaking her head because I know she has stuff to say. But the biggest importance of using tools, like I said, and why we actually this year making the identity graph available to small customers, so it's just a few $100s a month to take part in that, or to gain access to that information. So you can improve the productivity of your dollars. So you can ensure that the people in the audience that you've built are real people. That's basically what it is. It's tough to do if you're B2C. Okay. So, the things that we do are really what's called account-based marketing, or ABM. And so that's when you want to target businesses, then it's really logical. But if you're targeting consumers, then you really would, work with tools like what AI media is like, so adapt with like Google tools, then you can reach people that have certain interests or what have you. But either way, having those sorts of tools, so that the ads you're presenting in a personalized way, highly efficient, all those great ads are going to people and not to bots. That is the number one reason why everyone on this in this session right now should be looking at using, stepping up your AI game for this reason. So B, what do you think? Let me shut up.
Again, absolutely agree with you, and I think it really comes down to, becoming smarter and more agile with your marketing dollars and making sure that it's not going to waste, with bot traffic, and I think that applies to any size business, small, medium, large. You wanna make sure that your marketing budgets are getting you the traffic and the qualified leads that you're driving, and it's not going to bot traffic, and I think AI can definitely help, to Nico's point, with, ABM, audience lists, making sure you're targeting the right people, cutting down on waste. And I think, for larger accounts that are maybe, direct to consumer within Google and social and all the different other platforms, there's so much audience targeting options available to make sure that you're really honing in on the audience segment that you want to target, to make sure that it's, again, you're driving the most qualified traffic to site. And this also ties hand in hand with personalization. You want to make sure that not only are you getting the right audience, but that you're showing them the right message that's going to work. And AI can help with that as well. So, a lot to take in, but I think AI is something that we all need to just tap into and take advantage of, and use to our benefit, because there's so many different benefits that it offers.
All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies. So, Nico and Beate pulled together a list of AI tools that you might want to consider if you're new to, using AI marketing.
It's a bunch of tools on the list. And I think I saw that there was a question somebody wanted us to mention them. So this is not in any way, shape, or form the only AI tools out there. Could you go back to that? Yeah.
Sorry.
This is some of the most popular, right? Or some of the best rated or, most commonly used. We use some of these tools. I know that B's team use some of these tools. We might not use all of them, but, we've mentioned like SEM Rush and Marketing OS, Sixth Sense, Jasper AI. I mean, Grammarly, I think everybody uses Grammarly to keep you down with the typos in the grammar errors, but there's a ton of tools. But these are some around particularly productivity on the right side, and on the left side, they're around analytics and data. So ABM, account-based marketing, ad creative, and analytics. Those are we put those together. And of course, if people have questions, I'll stick around for the Q&A, and then I would be happy. Anybody who wants to talk about, how to start that journey or how to maybe improve your yield or whatever, would love to talk to any of you guys and just brainstorm about, what we're doing, what you're doing, and definitely bring in B and her team, because they're, like I said, they really are some of the best in this space.
Awesome, awesome. All right, now let's hear from the audience. Please take the peer poll for a chance to win $100. It'll pop up on your screen. Mhm.
So Ella, the folks who are in the room for that list, you think they're going to get a replay notice, right? And it'll
Yep.
have the video so they can access that. Would they be able to get a copy of the deck? What would you recommend? Could they ask you guys, maybe send you an email or something to get a copy of the deck?
Yeah,
What do you
we could.
think?
Yeah, we could do that. We can make everything happen. They just have to let us know.
Okay, super.
So, all right, let's leave that up for a few minutes here. This topic is really amazing. I'm learning a lot from this topic, you know. I never thought that AI can really be so powerful like that. So I'm really
Yeah.
serious about that training. I'd really love, I'm
Okay.
actually
Yeah. Well, I
You got to
did
make
want to
it
bring up
happen,
one
Nico.
thing. I know we should do a boot camp. I'm so serious. We have to do it. And one thing I do want to bring up as I know we all beautiful people in the room here. But one thing I do want to make sure everybody is thinking about when you're using these new tools is AI is only as smart as the information that it analyzes, and it analyzes data super fast, and it identifies patterns, and it's incredible, right? But you'll find like leaders, like one of the leaders in AI is IBM. We work a ton with IBM in their AI team, and so one of the things that they spend a lot of time on is around governance to avoid bias. So, and that's really important for you as marketers, especially. So, with your high level messaging, coming up with different variations of it based on people's interests and their names and all that fun stuff is all really logical. But when you start digging into it, or when you're starting to use AI for things like HR or screening people or what have you, then I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you've spent some time and energy to make sure that your AI data framework, how it's learning, the baseline data that it uses to learn, that it is very representative of all the facets of your audience. I'll give you a couple of examples that are very important. Um, uh, Names. This is something that AI with HR is a challenge, right? If you're screening resumes, and the AI might have a difficulty with names that might be considered exotic, like a Beyonce, Leah Pena, or Nico Bernie Miller, right? And sometimes the classifications or criteria you may have assigned to it, the AI might not know what to do with names that don't fit into that, really smoothly. So definitely you want to make sure you're thinking about, like, if you've got multicultural names or places or things like that, that you've just, spent some time to make sure that AI has access to data that's going to be very representative of your whole audience so that it doesn't develop a bias. And the bias isn't always like, oh, I like this one better. It sometimes can avoid things because it doesn't know what to do with it, right? So it will just not, analyze or classify that data. So you want to make sure that it's got a really broad, data set and broad perspective so it'll avoid that. And like I said, check out the guys at IBM. They spend a ton of time around bias and avoiding it. And, they've got some really great blogs and videos to talk about, how you can create, more conversations in your cross-functional team to help you tackle bias if you're really, diving into AI big time. What do you think? Do you think that's a big deal for like Google Ads and stuff be with bias?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Cool. All
Mhm.
right. So, great. We have a little time left for the Q&A. Remember, everyone, you can stay as long as you're available. Nico and Beate have agreed to stay for a few more minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, to answer as many of your questions as they can. If you need to leave, please be sure to take a call from our connections team to complete your 1 minute voice verification so we can send your reward. So let's look at the questions that we have here. All right, the first question from the audience: how can we tell if our marketing effort are paying off compared to the rest of the marketplace? So, Nico, what do you think?
Question. Such a good question. I'm gonna kick this hot topic over
Yep.
to B
I'm
because me
I'm
and her
all
talk
over
about this
it.
all the time. You go, girl. Go, go, go.
I mean, there's really so many tools to use. And as someone who comes from a paid search background, running Google ads, I think, that is obviously the first and foremost place that I would look towards competition. If you're running even a small scale campaign on Google, you're able to see, auction insights and levels of competition, who is bidding on your keywords, how what their impression share is, what their impression share is in the first three positions versus below the fold and so on. That gives you really really great insight into who is also bidding on the same things you're bidding on. That's not everything, obviously. There's also other tools like SEMrush and SpyFu, SimilarWeb, that you can use to see who else is in the marketplace. And really how you're going to be able to tell if you're seeing better results than them is looking at your impression share metrics and seeing how much of the available impressions out there you're covering. And if those numbers are improving month over month, you know that you're being more efficient. You're driving higher quality traffic to site and you're combating more of that competition. It'll also show on your front end metrics, like click through rate, conversion metrics. Ideally, you're driving higher quality traffic to site. Those are really ways that I, monitor competition and see how we are performing against them. There's also other tools online that you can look at if it's industry specific to see, okay, what are the benchmark results for this industry? How should I be aligning with that? Are we really far off? If so, that's time to evaluate your marketing efforts and your messaging and your audiences and everything that we talked about. So there's really a ton of tools and different ways to analyze how you're performing against everyone else out there.
Thank
I
you.
have
Thank you
nothing
so
to add.
much.
That was perfect.
That's great. So, we have another question here. What are some of the risks of using AI?
I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So, some folks are talking about Skynet. I'm not one of those. But one thing that I do look at, I know I only live 13, but I've been around, when I started my career as a consultant, the internet was actually just dawning, the commercial internet was dawning. And in the mid 90s, I'm sure everybody was alive at that time, right? But in the mid 90s, only 40% of Fortune 5,000 companies had a website. Okay. That's a stat that I love to drag with me through time because it's so eye opening. Back then, the commercial internet was just dawning and people had a bunch of questions about it, just like they do with AI. They weren't talking about Skynet though, but they were like, is this worth my time? Why do I need this? I have brochures, I have salespeople, they can call my 800 number. What's the purpose of this, right? It's just a brochure online. I've heard so many executives say that. And that's where I started my career, researching that and spending a lot of time and speaking with government bodies and, speaking and on TV and stuff about it. So from that learning, what I've understood over these last 3 decades or, 3.5 decades or whatever. And now that I look at AI on that same kind of cusp, like how the internet, that's basically the scale of this, right? That how the internet changed the world. And now we've got how AI is changing the world. Um, Here's a few things I observed. The first one is um, a computer will never have the humanity, the empathy, the insight, the creativity of a human. Now, a computer can appear to have a lot of those things because it can, reconfigure things that it's finding, and it can, mash up stuff, and it can permutate it and exponentiate it and do all kind of computer stuff. So it might appear to you as a marketing creative or a professional or an analyst or any place that you are in the role that, oh, this computer is going to replace all of us. It'll replace certain things that you do. It'll replace, certain aspects of your organization because it is highly productive. But what it'll never replace is your secret sauce, right? A computer is never gonna, oh, I don't want to say never's right. It's unlikely that a computer would, come up with those unique insights, those unique, distinctly human perspectives that only a person who feels and builds relationships would come up with, because the computer cannot do those things. But the question was, what are the risks? The risks of us as professionals, whether that we're marketers or technologists or operational people, is to make the miss the opportunity to understand the role that humans play in our amazingness, and the role that incredible tools like AI can play in making those amazing humans more productive. And that's, I'd say, the greatest risk. It's beyond bias, and it's beyond Skynet, and it's beyond all of those things. It's really that we'll think it replaces people. It doesn't. It does not replace people, but you will be eclipsed by those people who know how to use it and know how to use it really creatively and really, blow their productivity out. Because that's, as you saw, most consumers and most buyers want you to talk to them like people, like individuals. And so you've got to use tools like this so you can do that. So that, I would say, that's the risk, is, don't make yourself less. You guys are awesome. Step your game up by learning how to use these tools so that you don't get treated like you're not necessary, because we as people are all necessary.
Totally agree. And I think also to add on to a point you were making is, you need to know how to use these tools and use them well for them to really work well for you. And I think a great example that I recently read about, I don't know if it's Air Canada or another airline, but essentially they had to honor refund policies that their AI chatbot started creating on its own, and they had to honor it because this is and, it's yes, they probably set this up and they trained it, but, you have to keep up with it and make sure that, like,
Yeah.
everything that you're using AI for is working well for you and as intended, and that you're not that it's not making up return policies that aren't real.
So it can get higher conversion, right? And better C stats, because that's what
Right?
it's going to do, right? It's going to, I want a better number. For sure. For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies, for answering those questions. We have a bunch of questions that I'm seeing right now. And I do apologize, everyone. We are at time. If you have unanswered questions or want to have a one-on-one with Nico or Beate's team, please contact the BeTechly Connections group to coordinate. It's free as part of our complimentary expert connect service. Thank you, everyone, especially Nico and Beate, for this vibrant and discussion. Have a great day, everyone. See you on our next event.
Thank you all.
Bye.